Hey, hello everybody. Super good morning. Kevin Chan here, 7:30 in the morning again. How are you guys all doing? Having a wonderful day right now. Today is a Wednesday, almost end of the month already. Right, so we are on the 21st, right? So it's on the 21st of May, right? So good morning first, Manuel. How are you doing? Hello, Packboy. Hello, Manuel again. Hello, Sunny Rock. How you guys all doing? Hopefully you guys are doing fine. And today we're gonna approach one of the topic, which is reading parts, and it's gonna be centering around the topic of conversation. So when we talk about this right now, a lot of people here when they read parts, right, they always have this bias. So sorry first, it's really how English people think. English people, Chinese people, English people, Asian people thinking very different. English people always want to go and find an answer. They always want to find something that is associative, one-to-one. Whereas for us in Asia, right, so our association is one-to-many. Like for example, when we talk about conversation, it's very easy for a person to mistaken when we talk about conversation. You guys say that, oh, it must be hurting officer. It must be hurting officer because why to listen too many things hurting officer has to do with talking. Talking got nothing to do with conversation, right? So conversation is a very huge topic. Talking, being able to make sound come out of your mouth is a very small part of it. Right? Makes sense, right? So it makes sense, right? So talking is a very, very big, conversation is a very, very big topic. So you can actually go online and got people who just teach you how to do conversation. There is a lot of speech expert out there. There is a lot of people who cover public speaking skill set, probably a lot of things that has to do with conversation, right? So there's going to be a lot of topic talking about the good way to converse versus bad way to converse. There's just so many things about it. And it is not have anything to do with one specific 10 god. So we have gone through quite a lot of the 10 god already, 7 of them, 3 more that we haven't been done. So for those of you who have been following the series, right, this will start to make better sense. Because why? When you are reading a chart, you are actually trying to fish out information from this particular person's chart, given the circumstance and given the perceptive circumstances that's in. So right now we're going to talk about a conversation. So I'm going to explain to you if you are analyzing a conversation, right? So or you are basically taking a look at this particular person and try to decide what sort of conversation or how is I know normally say that how does this particular person function under no stress normal circumstances. So once you understand that, right, so you know that when you are engaging with this person, that this person is what I call normal from the person perspective. It may be abnormal from your perspective, right? So a very chit-chatty talkative fella, it's very normal for this person, but for other people they might not find it to be normal, right? So it's very different, general sense. Somebody may be very quiet, this fella is very normal, as in this very general argumentative that they do, extrovert versus introvert. Both extrovert introvert is normal. Okay, right? So you put an extrovert into the introvert world, the extrovert will die. You put the extrovert into the introvert world, the introvert will die. It's pretty simple, that one. Hello Cindy, hello Kelvin, good morning to you. Hello Carol, how are you doing? Right, so come, let's move into this big particular topic is called conversation. Right, so how to basically extend your conversation. So these are a lot to do with do's and don'ts of a conversation. Right, so again, you can find the topic in a lot of English channel, especially those that teach you how to converse. So like talk like a CEO, those kind of stuff. Right, talk like a CEO, those are conversational skill set thingy. Public speaking a lot. Right, so all of this that has to do with the entire art of conversation, especially again if you go for relationship channel, right, relationship channel, how to talk to girl, how to pick up girls, how to talk to guy, how to pick up guys, this sort of stuff all are basically lumped under this big umbrella called conversation. Right, so I'm just putting this in terms of the 10 god so that you have a bigger database when it comes to the 10 god itself, so that you're more familiar, and this actually assists you in terms of the entire reading exercise that you are doing. Because when you're reading, you don't have a purpose or you don't have a perception of reading, right? It's very difficult to do reading, right? So don't do the very amateur type of reading, which is very fixed. It's like, oh, got this mean this, got that mean that. No, got anything also mean everything. Come, let's shrink myself down to the smaller version, right? So we will take a look. No, as usual, getting in touch with me, Telegram is good. Yes, by the way, yesterday, the newsletter just published the forecast for next month. Feng Shui, right? So later, BaZi will come, Qimen will come, right? So all of them has been ready already. And also there is also a Feng Shui activation, which is gonna publish, somewhere down the road. So if you want those, please go and sign up for the Substack. That's all, pretty simple. Then again, some of you may want to get some help from the community. You have certain topic that you might want to discuss and get help from the rest of the community. Go to the community channel, which is a Facebook page, right? So it's a very safe place. You can chit chat anything at all, right? You can post anything that you want to post as long as it is not offensive, right? So J Cole is a new name, right? So welcome, right? So GB Eve Quad, congratulations for coming in, right? So now this is the BaZi chart. So as usual, Typing Astro is the software that I'm currently using right now, right? So you need to go and print a BaZi chart because you'll be reading either someone else's BaZi chart or yourself. Of course, today just use yourself as a reference. Today we'll be using this particular part, right? So reading a BaZi chart, there is a few ways to do so, right? So it depends on how you basically does the reading, right? So but the most easiest one, which is do a general reading, is to take a look at the entire chart. Again, some of you might not know how to take a look at the entire chart, right? So use software, right? So software has already taken a look at the entire chart. It tells you which 10 God is a lot, which 10 God is very little. Like for example, this one you can see that direct resource is a lot, right? So and then 7 killing is very little, right? So you read this as a way, if it's a lot, mean that you got natural tendency to gravitate towards this direction. It is not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, right? So please stop with the entire thinking that, oh no, this is good, this is bad, this is good. There's no good, no bad. Good, bad all come together. Later when we discuss, I tell you good, bad come together. Right, so it comes as a package, right? So it's a slider. You can slide either way, right? So it's just that some people slide it easier, some people slide it different. Like for example, those that is really super low one, like direct wealth for 7 killing, these are super low one. These are things that you naturally try to avoid, or you pretend it never happened. Just put it that way. Again, it is not good, it is not bad. For your composition, there is always a situation or a circumstance whereby you stand out, right? So like for example, this one very easily, if you are in a situation whereby direct action is not encouraged, then this is a good chart, right? So because the direct wealth and also 7 killing is in relation with direct action, right? So if you you go to a place whereby you're not supposed to directly interfere, this is a good chart, by the way, right? So but if you're in a place whereby you need to get your hand dirty and get things done, this is not really a good chart, right? It depends on circumstance. So when we overlap this one in terms of the reading for conversation, right? So then we can start to go in. So we have the perception that we're going to talk about, different conversation quality or different conversation value. All of these are valid, useful skill set for you, right? So you can basically just learn all these skill set. So of course, if that particular thing is 0 on your side, you will start to see why this particular person doesn't really participate in this part of the conversation, right? So which means that if you want to converse with this particular, you need to use other part. So if you see that this one resource is good, you need to go for resource style of conversation. That's all you need to do only. Okay, you need to go for resource style of conversation rather than going for, let's say, wealth style of conversation. Wealth style of conversation doesn't appeal to this particular person. It doesn't mean that this person cannot converse. It's just that conversational style is different. It's, you just imagine, right? So if you go to a country, right, the country speak French, right? There's no amount of English that you're going to use is going to help with the situation. Broken French would actually help the situation more than perfect English. It makes sense or not? Right? Makes more sense on that, right? So same thing also, if you are somebody who is not in the construction line, you go into a construction conversation, no amount of your expertise is gonna, be able to appeal to construction. Talking construction will help, right? Makes sense, that one, right? So those kinds of things make a lot of sense to you, easier. So when you are doing this sort of analysis, you need to take a look at it, this circumstance required what? Right, so not every circumstances got hurting officer mean that you can speak No necessary. Hurting officer also speak rubbish. Okay, can. Right, go and take a look at this. So again, of course, for those of you who are in very advanced, you can basically target pillar. Right, target pillar mean that if this particular energy appear in this pillar, in this circumstance, he will be like this, but in a different circumstance, when they appear in another pillar, it's different. Like for example, in relationship, this particular person might be this sort of conversational tendency, but at work it's a very different conversational tendency. You cannot use one style for everything. So difficult, confusing one. Yes, that's life, right? That's life. There's no convenient summary button for you, right? So this is a convenient summary telling you that natural tendency of the person. All right, so we're going to go in and take a look at that, right? So now why do you need to engage in conversation? Because no one else can read mind. They are up until today still got people thinks that it's the other party responsibility to read their mind. Those people who like to hint, those people who like to signal, right? So you should understand me, you should be able to read the room, blah blah blah, whatever it is. In the end, if you don't open your mouth and tell people, you're the one who suffer, not the other party. Because why? The other party don't know. You cannot suffer if you don't know. Understand or not? If you don't know, you cannot suffer, right? So ignorance is actually a bliss, right? For not knowing something, you are not subjected to any of the judgmental and everything on it. So that's why conversation happen, right? So that is why the main reason why a conversation happen is because you need to send information to the other party so that the other party knows what is happening, and it is your responsibility to send the correct signal to the other party. Is not the other party responsibility to investigate what you want, right? So please get the relationship correct. You communicate with the other person because you need the other person to perform certain things in a certain way. The other party does not need to perform the thing, because why? The fellow can no less in the so which means that whoever is suffering is the person who need to communicate, not the other way around. Right? A lot of people think that we need to understand the person who is suffering. If the person who is suffering does not know how to communicate, is his problem. Continue to suffer until you learn. Yeah, that's basically how it works, right? So that's how the thing, right? So now today I'm gonna be a bit interactive. You guys get to choose. We start from which one first. Now, as usual, I got output, I got wealth, I got influence, I got resource, I got companion. Which one do you want? Because it's a menu, I can click. Right, so tell me which one do you want to start first. It doesn't matter which one, all of them are important. We'll go through all of them. Right, so come tell me which one that you guys want to start first. Output, wealth. We need one wealth. Output, lower output win. Right, so boring. Let's go output. Kissing one wealth. No, got another wealth. Got another wealth mean high. Output win. We go output. Right, so now output is basically the entire idea of sharing. Now sharing is very important in conversation. Just tell you first. Sharing is very important in conversation. Right, so it is the it is almost like you want to say is the beginning part of a conversation. Is the beginning part of it. This is the part whereby you try to test, right? You want to test, right? So you want to test how does the overall thing is that you need to throw things out. For sharing is just basically throwing things out, right? Just throwing things out and see what sticks. It's like throwing things on the wall and see what sticks on the wall. That's basically the entire idea of sharing. So it's a very important part of it, right? So then this one you guys know, right? Hurting officer, eating god is actually the output energy, whereby they are very adapted to this entire idea of sharing. They are natural sharer, right? So they are natural sharer. So of course, hurting officer is much more easier to share, right? Hurting officer is much more easier to share. Eating god only share with certain people that they look up to. Now eating god got class. Hurting officer, like very commoner, they can share anything with anybody. So that's why a lot of time you see hurting officer tend to be easier to talk. They have a very easy time talking to people. Just put it in a way, right? So that's why it gives the impression that hurting officer is a natural communicator, natural talker. Is not really that. It's just that they have a higher natural. So eating god, on the other hand, they need to reach a certain threshold. So which means that The fella need to know that your is in the stratosphere or in the capability of you want to say understanding or in the class whatever, then only they open up and talk to you. If you're not in the class, they rather not waste their time to talk to you. That's the only difference, which means that if both of them hit the threshold, hurting officer got lower threshold, just that's it, right? So if you both of them hit the threshold, both eating god and hurting officer are both freaking talkative fella. So the problematic part of sharing is actually oversharing. So how do you know somebody oversharing or too domineering in a conversation? This is where your eating god and hurting officer like freaking high one, no? Right? 90-80% one. These are people who are a bit full of themselves, a bit full of themselves. It's like they try to dominate the conversation by I'm sure you have spoken to this sort of particular people before. Like every conversation is about them one. These are very high. So if those are very low like me, I don't have anything to share to people. So, but you do a lot of all this, broadcasting. Broadcasting is a different ball game. So if you know me, if you're together with me, right, I don't have any free information to share with people. Because why? My hurting officer and my EG both are zero. Right? So I don't volunteer information. If it's unnecessary information, I don't have anything to put in. Because why? Sharing is not my, it's not my top conversational skill set. So if you sit there and you are expecting me to volunteer information to you in a conversation, right? Good luck to you. Good luck to you. You sit there and wait lah. It will not happen. Right? My normal mode is no sharing. Is it right? Is it wrong? No, there's no right, no wrong. Right? Oversharing is problem. No sharing also is problem. Right? So that's why I'm suck at starting a conversation. I don't like to start conversation. Right? So you just bring it. Right? So EG is on the same wavelength. Like EG need to find people which is their class lah. Class. Hurting officer no need lah. Hurting officer they just need to talk on. Right, so so if you are meeting with people who is very high one, you see that when they start to share, they start to talk. They seems like they don't give any opportunity for you to talk, and then they blame you for not talking. Yeah, domineering, right? So it's like you go and see your friend, so probably you go and see your friend, you're very down, probably your boyfriend just dump you, you go and see your friend, you want to share about, your this particular hurting experience, one day, right? And then you meet a friend where hurting officer very high, right? The fella will go and make the entire topic about themselves, and also about last time when I lost my boyfriend that time, it's about, them right now, no, it's like not about you already. You got no chance to talk about your feeling of losing a boyfriend, right? So like this sort of situation, right? Do you want to go and talk to a hurting officer or an eating god? No? If you go and talk to a hurting officer and eating god, get ready to get, to shut up and listen to them. Must learn how to talk to you. You can talk to me in any particular method that you like, doesn't matter. Right, so now for those of you who are more advanced, what you do is that now you know that they see, like, if the hurting officer eating god is in the year pillar, you will see that in a public social occasion, they will display more of this characteristic. But when it's not in the month pillar, let's say it's not in the month pillar, right, you will see that at work they are different. At work, they don't show this sort of oversharing or lack of sharing because it's not hitting the month. But if you shift to the month that is not in the year, then you will see in a social setting, the fella is rather not very sharing. But in a work condition, lots of opinion. This is where you take a look. So now if let's say that you have a partner whereby is sitting on hurting officer, so you know that in relationship, this particular partner like to share stuff. Talk the sky, talk the ground, talk left, talk right, talk here, talk there, talk future, talk past, talk. So when the fella is talking that time, right, the fella is normal. Now this one is whether it got nothing to do whether you like it, you don't like it, right? So in a conversation, you understand first, the other party is functioning in a normal parameter. So when you start to see that the fella is not talking, not sharing, got problem. start to understand, right? So this one help you understand the person. So when you start to understand the person, great. So you have a person who like to share, right? Encourage the person to share lah. Simple enough, right? So you want to be in a good book of this particular, you know that this fellow is hurting officer, eating God. So you see that this fellow is eating God, right? For this particular person to share stuff, I need to also appear to be in the correct echelon with this particular person. That's all, same class point. Like that only, right? So you want to encourage the fellow to talk, right? So once you go to the same class point or hurting officer, you just need to trigger a little bit. The fellow will start flooding you with information. Now, what you want to do with the information, is it overload too much? That one is your problem, right? But that's what you do, right? So now to them, when they are able to do this, blah, 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 to them, it's a good conversation. To you, maybe it's a bad conversation. Right, to you maybe it's a bad point, but to this person it's very interesting. So right now, your purpose is what? So how different would it from HO in Heavenly Stem and Hidden? Hidden only if the fella, only if you know the fella pretty good, then only you'll be able to see it. In Heavenly Stem, it's basically just obvious one. You go anywhere, people with Heavenly Stem hurting officer one, that in the crowd is going to be the loudest. Like that. Okay? Pretty simple. Hurting officer. Eating God also is the same. So eating God usually is you go there, you will see that. I don't like to call the air of arrogance, right? So, but it's really, an aura of, I got class. Right? The way the fellow move, the way the fellow dress, the word that the fellow choose, sophistication. Hurting officer usually don't have the sophistication. Eating God has the sophistication, as in choice of words. Right, so eating God has it, hurting officer not. That's basically it, right? So now this is basically for this one, right? So next one, I'm going to go to the wealth, so because it always go in sequence, right? So now wealth is very simple. Get to the point, right? So what is the function of labeling? Now here's the thing, everybody does labeling. Labeling is a very basic survival function, right? So a very basic survival function means that labeling is you already make all the conclusion, what we call a summary judgment, right? Summary judgment, right? So so you say that but labeling people isn't that a bad thing, you just imagine yourself if you have never labeled a tiger before. Let's start with tiger first, saber-tooth tiger, right? In the olden days, right? So now when you see the saber-tooth tiger, right, what do? Do you think whether the situation is that did I encroach into the saber-tooth tiger area? Maybe the saber-tooth tiger is currently hungry. Maybe it's just trying to defend the family. Maybe got small little saber-tooth cub is around. Maybe it just had a bit of a fight with somebody right now. Do you do that? No, you see saber-tooth tiger straight away. You already stick the sticker to the particular person. Right, labeling basically means get to the point in the shortest possible thing. So now tell you, when you are talking to a Wellstar person, get to the point first. Don't give story, don't give explanation, don't give this, don't give that. All of those things are all useless until you get to the point. Basically, a Wellstar person want to know what specifically is this conversation about. So if you don't have, executive summary, right? Executive summary. So yeah, Wellstar person, does labeling, it's like instant. It's instant labeling. And once the label stick there already, right? Yeah, you are gonna have a little bit of a problem, right? So you got a big problem with the Wellstar, and once they label you, right? So now Wellstar too high, then you see that the you want to call over labeling or too quick in terms of labeling things. Right, so completely no Wellstar, right? So then forgot to label. Also right and wrong. So again, I know if you really want to imagine the situation is very simple, right? So if you are walking at night in the park and suddenly you notice that there is a person walking behind you in a hoodie, hand inside the pocket. Okay, tell me something. You're gonna wait until the person catch up to you and explain to you what is happening, or you're gonna label the guy straight away. So labeling is a survival skill, right? So Wellstar person tend to label a conversation, right? So which means that when you start a conversation with the fellow, right, the fellow already make his conclusion. where's the conversation gonna go, right? So that's why, you know, if you are having a conversation with the Wellstar fella, the fella got no time for your story, right? So please cut off with all the story, you know, why this, you know, 6 of your reason, you know, di-di-da, right? So important thing is, you know, what the hell do you need the fella to do? You know, you're telling me this thing, right? You probably need me something, you know? So now key thing, if you don't need the fella to do anything at all, tell the fella. I'm just rambling to you right now, you know, I just, you know, want to offload this thing, right? You don't have to do anything. That is actually a purpose. If that is your purpose, you just want to ramble, right? So, or, you know, no, I want you to, you know, give me some advice to this particular situation. Those are all called purpose. Before the bugger label you, you take out the label. Right. If what anything in the luck pillar, you can forget about it, right? So a lot of time, again, a lot of time I tell people luck pillar is an externality, right? So like luck pillar mean that your neighbor is very noisy, right? So now keep it simple, like in the year means that, you know, your social circle, in social circle you're very noisy. Hurting officer, and I'm just gonna use noisy as an example. Please do not mistaken that hurting officer is a noisy fella, but just among all the fella, hurting officer happen to be the noisiest among all of them. All of them also is noisy. So if in the year mean that at work the fella very noisy, if in the day mean that in relationship very noisy, if it's in the hour mean inside the brain very noisy. That's it, right? So if it's, you know, inside the luck pillar mean your neighbor very noisy. That's all, very simple, right? Right, so who is going to be noisy? Annual pillar, who's going to be noisy? That particular year, the fella got more situation to be noisy. Overall, annual pillar, luck pillar is the same overall, right? So it's going to be, right? So you're going to be a lot of noisy places. So which means that got hurting officer mean that you got an opportunity to basically amp up the hurting officer for that particular year. Famous, let people know, grab attention. It's attention, yeah, right? So if you need attention, it's good. If you don't need attention, it's bad. Back to Wellstar. Right, so back to Wellstar is basically, you know, what are the purpose of the entire thing. So labeling is a method, right? So now, can you see that if it's in a conversation, right? If you over label everything got labeled, no? So, this fella, Chinese always cheat people in business one. Then gone lah. Every single conversation with Chinese there is bye-bye conversation already. Right, so, you know, you got a particular, you want to call bias also can, right? So it's like, fella just particularly like that, you know, it's like, you know, big label is like, oh, woman is like that one. That Wellstar. If Wellstar is too high one, right, in a conversation, they tend to already put you in boxes. Alright, so that's why, you know, when talking to Wellstar, sometimes it's super difficult to talk to Wellstar when the fella stick a label on you. It's very difficult to, you know, remove the label. Right, so you remove it. So it's better if you're talking to a Wellstar is that you put up the label, you put up the sign first. Okay, this conversation is about, and your role in this particular conversation is, right? Your role, you know, it's like a Mission Impossible, right? Like Mission Impossible, right? You know, the fella tell them that, you know, this is the mission, you know, if you choose to accept it, blah blah blah, whatever. Same thing, before you start the conversation with the other person, you know, please be purposeful on the conversation, you know, tell them that the important thing is that what role do you, Mr. Wealth, play in this particular conversation. If you don't have that, you know, it's like blah blah blah, a lot of story, right? The fella is going to zone out, right? If you are lucky, the fella going to tell you what's your point. Get to the point, please. This is definitely Wellstar, right? If the fella, you know, utter out, get to the point, please, is definitely a Wellstar person. Confirm in conversation, you know, that we're wasting my time. No, I don't know what you want, you're wasting my time. The rest of the thing I do not need to know, because all the detail is useless at this current moment. I don't know what to process for you. Right, so now I understand how I can come up with the Indian man assumption. Right. Yeah, direct wealth, indirect wealth also is the same thing, no? That basically mean that, you know, don't really waste too much of my time. Right. Well, people, no grandmother story. No, can have grandmother story, but the grandmother story need to come after the purpose has been established. Grandmother story is fine. The fella need to know what is he supposed to listen to, right? What is he supposed to listen to? What are the points they need to listen to? And second thing is that after locating the point, how do I contribute to the conversation? That's all only the Wellstar one want to know. So which means it's getting to the destination. Process of the conversation is not important. So the good thing about talking to Wellstar person is that, you know, you don't need to worry about emotional turmoil. Talking to a lot of people got a lot of emotional turmoil. Right? Wellstar, no need. No, so it's like the entire conversation can be a big, huge argument. Everybody screaming around. If you have a Wellstar person, the fellow know how to identify, you know, this is the problem. Come, let's go and fix this problem. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's the particular problem, right? Come, let's go and fix this problem. The rest of the, some people say that, oh, no, you need to settle the person's emotional hurt first. You go to hell, you settle your emotional hurt on your own self. That's the thing, right? So right? So it's like, you have a big argument over the entire thing. Who's supposed to pay for this, right? If you have a Wellstar person, the fellow stand up, I pay for it. I pay for it. That's it. So everybody shut up. This one paid for already. The fella, got no whatever on. Got no whatever hidden hatred or feeling on anybody at all. Wellstar person just basically get the thing. So that's why a lot of time, when you talk to a Wellstar person, right, the fella would in a way see that, it's like trying to end the conversation really fast. Sad. Don't know, right? But if you really want to solve problem, this is the people to talk to, right? So the fella will be able to cut off all the fluff. Okay, come, let's do this. Right? Some people say that, oh, no, this is not protecting my emotion. You go protect your emotion on your own now. Okay? Right? So, BaZi analysis, what kind of conversation or energy exchange is expected when a friend start pair with a Wellstar? Jenny, I don't understand your question. Right? But anyway, if the fellow got a Wellstar. So again, right? The Wellstar where? So if you're more advanced than Wellstar where? Right? So again, back to the same thing. If the Wellstar is in the year pillar, so you know that in a public social conversation, the fella tend to get to the point faster. The lengthy conversation might not work with this particular person. So at work, the fella tend to get to the conclusion in work-related matter faster. In relationship, the fella want to know what you want. The fella want to know what you want. So that's why a lot of time when you're with a Wellstar person, Chinese say 講冇情趣, right? And the fella, I don't know whether you call it not romantic or whatever it is, right? So冇乜情趣, it's just like, want to do this, come on, let's go do. It's like, okay, who asked you to choose a Wellstar fella? Right? So they said that, but they said that Wellstar fella good husband. Yeah, bring food back for the family to eat. Right? That's the bigger purpose of a family, ma. Got food eat, ma. That's it. Right? Wellstar fella will bring food back for the family to eat. Right? The rest of the emotional thingy, is not Wellstar. You do not expect Wellstar to give you emotional support. It's bad thing. Right? So label. So if you are labeled as a potato, die walk. Some people can't handle to do straight to the point. Straight to the point got nothing to do with the truth, right? So it may not be the truth. It may just be the circumstantial, what we call, at that particular point, that might be the overwhelmed situation, right? So just go and basically do that, right? So okay, so this is Wellstar person, easier to handle, but again, once the labels stick on to you already, it's very difficult to undo the labeling. So strategy is to bring your own label. Best strategy is to bring your own label. Okay, right? So you want to be in the good book of a Wellstar person, bring your own label. Right? Start off with the entire conversation on the purpose of this conversation is, and I would like you to participate in this particular manner. Then you can have all the grandfather story that you want to put in. Right? The fellow will try to listen to it. Right? So period 9 women don't need Wellstar for us. Okay, come, let's go Influencestar. Now, Influencestar, you might think that it's gonna be very close to the Wellstar. This one judgmental is really like labeling, but very different. Labeling happened before anything happened. Judgmental is afterward one. Afterward, the fella has a very strong sense of this is correct, this is wrong. Labeling don't have right and wrong one. Labeling basically is generic, it's like, yeah, there's no such thing as right and wrong in labeling. Labeling is just a label. Okay, right? So judgmental is basically they have a set of things, set of criteria, that tell you that this is right, this is wrong. So influence people, so again, right, is by the book sometime, it's like, now again, it has nothing to do with general perception, right or wrong. This is in that particular person book. So if you're talking to a direct officer in 7 killing, you need to understand that this particular person got a certain sense of pride, or you want to call moral high ground. All right. They want it easy for you to understand moral high ground. To them is that, oh, I'm in this particular position of power. I say this is right. I say this is wrong. There's nothing wrong with whether they say this is right or this is wrong. It's like, some people, say that, oh, no, it must be like this one, oh, it must be like that. Right? So if you don't study, you will fail. Then there's another school said that, don't study is still pretty much quite okay. So how leh? Right? So if you are going into a conversation with a person with strong DO 7K, you need to be okay with this particular judgmental thing that fellow is doing. Also, if there's no DO, no 7K, mean that anything, any direction is fine. Like that also, you're gonna say that doesn't seem to be good, right? This fella would basically seems to be like a you have a conversation with fella who doesn't have any direction and opinion, is going to be very challenging, right? Especially if you expect some input with the particular person. Now, if you are talking about Influencestar, fella confirm got input. Fella got opinion, right? Opinion, or decree. It's much higher than opinion. The decree, to me, is that it must be like this, right? The danger of 7 killing is not that it must be like this. I will force you to be like this. That's the danger of having 7 killing, right? So direct officer will basically lay down the boundary. Direct officer will lay down the boundary. Generally, the fella won't come and whack you. But 7 killing, no. 7 killing will force you to comply. So if you are having a conversation with DO 7 killing people, you have to get ready for the fight. If let's say that you're gonna fight, or if not, you better exit the battlefield. Right? No point trying to change them. Right? No point trying to change them. They have this, Cantonese called Sikuba Fa. Sikuba Fa means that, somebody who is very old, they think that they're very experienced, you talk to them, they don't listen to you, is the Chinese say, I eat salt more than you eat rice, I cross bridge more than you walk road, You seen that, right? So those are very judgmental person. Now again, right, they might not be wrong one, but it's their way of seeing the world. The world is black white. This is the correct way, that is the wrong way, right? So they will always lecture you. Yeah, you always get lecture, right? So you got DO 7 killing, you get a lot of lecture from them. Now, unlike hurting officer and eating god, those are sharing. Those are not lecture. This one, lecture. Right, so you should be like this, you should be following this rule, like that, so you're a girl, you should be dressed in a very decent way. You're a guy, you should be able to carry responsibility. I didn't say it's wrong, but if you keep talking to this particular fella, right, so you would tend to have that particular pressuring that, the fella not very listening to you, not very listening to you. Okay, right? So like different is that the Wellstar a lot of time got nothing to do with right and wrong. It's basically how to reach the destination, right? So if your entire purpose is to knock the wall, the Wellstar will actually assist you in knocking the wall. Whereas the what we call Influencestar might not, if it's not aligned with their compass, they will do a lot of things to basically inform you that it is not aligned with their compass. So they tend to be, a bit stubborn. You call stubborn, right? So you can call it stubborn, right? So that's why, if you are somebody who's talking, please don't be too judgmental with the situation. There's no absolute no right. There's no absolute wrong, right? So like for example, launching missile to another country. Right or wrong? Right, so we got Ukraine there, you know, one crisis, Syria one crisis, Gaza one crisis, now Pakistan another crisis. Right or wrong? You tell me first. For a judgmental person, then there's right and wrong. So if you know that you are somebody who, you know, very DO, very seven killing one, when you're going into a conversation, control your judgmental. Because why, you know, in this criteria you might be right, in another scenario you can be completely wrong. Right, something that today might be correct, in the future might be wrong. Right, so something that in the future is wrong, today might be correct. Right, make sense, right? Can right? So this is basically how you make the judgment. So same thing, if you see that the DO7K is in the year pillar, so you know already this particular person in a public setting, the fella can be a little bit more stubborn, a bit more difficult, open to new idea, right? The fella like everything to be, you know, like how it is. So when you are talking to this particular fella, probably you will try to lean towards what we call a publicly agreeable circumstance, right? So how publicly agreeable? No, it doesn't matter how you view a, let's say, a relationship, right? So view a relationship, you know, outside there, you know, you go outside, it's like, you know, oh, you know, must get married is daily. You don't go and fight with this sort of stuff, right? Even if you personally doesn't believe in all these things, you know, it's like, you know, oh, you know, you probably doesn't believe in, you know, must get university degree, you know, or no, must study, you know, this kind of, you don't believe in it. But in a public setting, you know already the person that you're talking to, or the person that you would want to be in the influence circle with this particular person is a DO7 killing, and the fella has a strong feeling on, you know, getting study and all this particular thing. You know, it's like, you know, I got a friend that got going for the third PhD. I cannot be talking to the guy and tell the guy the PhD is useless, right? Right, even if I don't agree with PhD, right? Understand or not? Right, so if there's a situation there at that particular point, no, don't go straight against it lah. Doesn't matter, right? So no, you know how to do controlling, right? So this is more important is to you. So if you see that, you know, you got DO7 killing, you know, your opinion is a bit strong, you're a bit more judgmental, right? So you do your own controlling, right? So if you know that, you know, it's completely not there, then you know that you don't really have strong opinion on anything. So again, not right, not wrong, right? So, but in a conversation, do you need to have a stand or not? If you're somebody who is in a conversation got no stand, right? Lalang, what we call lalang. Lalang is the grass, right? It's the grass, weed. Lalang is the weed. So when we ask somebody called lalang, mean that, you know, this fella, wind blow here, go here, wind blow there, go there, right? So if you got this sort of people in a conversation, you know automatically you don't need to listen to this particular person. Understand or not? Right? So that's why, you know, without an opinion, you don't have a stand, people don't invite you to a conversation, because why? You don't contribute anything. Like, why do I want you to be around when you are not contributing to anything? As in, you don't have your own opinion, you know. It's like you hear, you don't hear, also no difference. Understand or not? Right? So there's always a reason for you to be in a conversation. Cool. Understand? So that's why, you know, if you are doing a brainstorming session, don't bring a Wellstar person. You bring a Wellstar person, half of the idea before you even reach the idea stage, right, is going to be shot down by the Wellstar person. This one cannot label. That's labeling, right? So labeling is summary judgment. This one is basically going to be on the side of, you know, whether this is right, this is wrong, you know, this is correct, this is not correct. They have this selection criteria going on, right? So, but you need this one or not one in conversation. You need this in a conversation. Everything is required. Sharing is required. Labeling also is required in a conversation, right? So, you know, and, you know, what we call being judgmental also is required in a conversation, but in a moderate sense. Too much, too little also no good. So you can take a look at, you know, the too much, too little. So if you know already, you know, judgmental, you are very, you know, little, then don't try to contribute in the judgmental line, you know, as in, you know, right and wrong, this sort of stuff. You know, don't contribute from that particular perspective, like change a different perspective. Right, so Resourcestar is basically, you know, the art of questioning. Now, see, the counterparty is the output, output, this one. Right, so output is no question automatically shared. This one is, asking question. Too many question, it become interrogation. Okay, no question, then it become quiet. Right, so which means that if you're just now, direct resource very high one, right? You go into a cycle of endlessly asking question. Right, so now this one doesn't care whether it's an open-ended question, whether it's a closed-ended question. So if you go for a communication class, they will tell you that open-ended, closed-ended question is to end the conversation. Open-ended question is to further expand the conversation. All this kind of stuff, right? Okay, right? Nothing to do with it. This one is just for you to know that if you have a resource star, indirect resource will tend to ask question that has nothing to do with the main topic. Suddenly, divert the question to this particular. Here's the thing, they ask question only, they usually don't really have a lot of things to contribute in. They like to just absorb, take. Whereas output just throw. Right, so you can see that resource star is growing you, so it's giving to you. So you as the fella like to receive. So you just, you just ask question for the sake of asking question. Right, so the piece off part is that after asking all of this stuff, right, you didn't do anything, right? So now, can you see that if you are a consultant and you are doing the discovery phase means that you run around and go and ask questions. So if you have a resource star person, it's a perfect job for a resource star person, right? So very high resource star person, then you're gonna ask a lot of questions, right? So if you want a consultant to come and ask a lot of questions, and that is how you feel like there is value in the report, then you go and get a resource star, direct or indirect resource fella to come and do the consultative work. The fella will ask a bunch of questions you feel very important. Oh, the person is trying to understand me. Right? So you wanna find people to understand you. Talk to them. Talk to resource star fella. Right? So talk to resource star fella. Too high, too many questions, it becomes an interrogation. Too low, don't have enough questions, it becomes silent. So it depends how you basically see. Right? So that's why so again, somebody the other day said that so if a person sitting on resource star as a relationship, the fella is very suspicious, and it's like it's good to be suspicious. To me, it's very sad that you move into a relationship with suspicion first. It's very sad. So which means that you did not enjoy the relationship, you just spend a lot of time go and investigate the relationship, whereby it doesn't need to investigate. Not everything requires you to go and investigate. Right? So again, questioning is important when you are in the phase whereby you need to discover stuff. When you don't know stuff, you need to discover stuff. Questioning is important, right? But what is the purpose of throwing question to people? Is to find something to do or find something to expand on. Very important skill set, right? So that's why if you are talking to a resource star person, generally speaking, we're talking to a resource star person, you feel very enjoyable talking to a resource star person, as if the fella is listening to you. But if you are in a situation whereby you need actual action to be come out after the conversation, talking to a resource star person can be very frustrating, because after all the talk, you see zero action. Nothing comes out. No action is ever. Always is just question. Understand. No. Right? So also the same thing, right? So if you are a what we call the psychologist, the counselor, resource star have a natural advantage in this particular job, because most of the time the job is just to sit there and listen, right? So psychologists also don't give you solution. They're supposed to guide you to find your own solution. Right? So the fella sit there, ask question, let you talk, ask question, let you talk, let you slowly discover everything on your own. Right? So I don't know whether it's good or bad, but that's what they do. Right? So that's why you take a look at it. So if your partner and also in relationship, day pillar sitting, your partner is a resource. It's a fella who need a lot of information to feel comfortable. So I always tell people is that you're just like a newscaster. Newscaster, Go there, just do newscasting. Right, just do newscasting lah. No, yes, report, no, report. Just throw report. Right, so if your boss, let's say your boss is a Resourcestar boss, send report. Your boss will be very happy. Right, whatever, just send a report. WhatsApp message, send. The fellow will be very happy, right? So no, a Resourcestar person is the one that very easily get dragged into social media. Right? So because social media are basically just reporting to you. Report. They always scroll social media. Right? So now you start to see, right? So if you are dealing with somebody with very high resource it's let the fellow ask question. Okay, right? So ye would often not strong opinion, but they can have strong influence, structure, contrast. Again, no need that depend on the entire structure of the thing. Right? So if you got an E-Wood whereby very strong officer star. So very strong officer star, young metal born in Monkey Man. You born in Monkey, talk to a E-Wood born in Monkey Man and see whether the fellow got opinion or not. Right? It's like a rope trying to tie your neck. Okay, no opinion with the fellow. Plenty of opinion. Okay, right? It's like a whip. Okay, right? So that's basically that. And then last one is the Friendstar, right? So the Friendstar is constant agreement, right? So again, constant agreement. Yes, man. Yes, man. This one is probably too high, right? So it's actually not too high, right? So too high, what happened with too high is that they constantly would want people to agree. Okay, they constantly want people to agree. If you're too low, then you're in a dangerous state of everything seems to be yes, because you have the urge, the yearning to be accepted. By the way, it's important in a conversation whereby you are agreeable, at least to begin with. You just imagine somebody start the conversation, come over and hey, guys, I really love hiking, and then because you're not agreeable, I hate hiking. Hiking is not something I would do. Got conversation don't have. Understand or not? Don't have a conversation, right? So that's why in the conversation, at least in the beginning part, you need to be somebody who is approachable and agreeable, right? So that's why your Friendstar a bit on the high side. It helps with the self-confidence, right? So it's only a very self-assured and self-confident person is able to agree with others. People with very low self-esteem, self-confidence, very difficult to agree with the other side, because they always have the thing of other people might take advantage of me. I always tell people, it's like, who do you think you are? You got a lot of advantage for people to take. Wallet also don't have money, right? Wallet one money don't have like people, inside the brain don't have enough knowledge to people. Also doesn't really look very pretty or handsome. What advantage people want to take at you? It's like our Cantonese said, and they, you whatever, right? So it's in constant agreement now. Too much agreement, no use, it becomes yes man. No agreement, also no use, very difficult to continue. So can you see that all this is required in a conversation? It's required. So it's required for you to have a certain amount of agreement in a conversation so that the conversation can continue. You need to do a certain amount of sharing inside a conversation. So again, that help the conversation to move. You need labeling so that the direction of the conversation is correct. You need to be judgmental a bit so that there is a boundary of right and wrong basically in the conversation, and you need to question so that you would be able to expand the conversation. Right? So questioning is basically to find new topic, to find branching topic, to find new topic. So for a conversation to run, all of this is required. Every single one of this is required, right? So it's not. So that's why I say that every single profile can converse but you just need to converse in a way that is right. So like for example, if you know that your companion star is a little bit more higher, that type, right? You have the uncanny ability of taking other people's topic. Right? This topic interesting, right? So now 5%, this is raw wealth, 5% talking, 5 topic, right? You are the voter. You're the voter, right? So say, this topic is interesting. So I go and agree with this topic. So I bring this topic up. There is raw wealth, got purpose, raw wealth agreement have a purpose. Friendstar agreement, no purpose. So that's why Friendstar usually is a little bit more on the neutral side. Right, so you do need people with Friendstar to basically, again, they make very good voter. Right, they are agreeable in a way that they vote. Maybe they don't have their own direction, right? So they don't really have their own direction, but because of their thinking that saying that this particular topic is interesting, I will add into this particular topic. So this particular topic become lively. Right, so if you got people, everybody is talking about Labubu, then Labubu it is right, Labubu it is okay, right? So that's basically how you do, right? So all of this is basically there. So for you to look at the chart, right? So first of all, if I'm gonna have a conversation with this particular person for whatever purpose, so I take a look at it. Oh, this particular person companion very strong one, so which means you got some agreeability there. Exploit oh, this particular person output very strong one. The fella like to sharing. You just need to let the fella start talking, and then you shut up and talk lah. Right. So if you see that this fella is wealth very strong one, the fella need to have an endpoint purpose. I supply the purpose first, then done, right? So if this fella is judgmental, right and wrong, it's good for you to have a debate with this particular person. Want to debate right and wrong, man. Also, and if this is resource person, the fella just try to do discovery. Ask more question right? Ask more question, or allow this particular person to ask more question, right? So the more question this particular person is able to ask you, the more happier the fella. Right, so as in the companion star, the more you give the other person room to agree with you, the more happier the other person is, right? So you don't try to put a companion star person on the spot. They don't like, okay? You want to put people on the spot, go and output people on the spot. Output people quite okay to be on the spot. Okay, understand? Can make sense? Okay, right? So can see conversation is not all hurting officer. Hurting officer is just one way blasting information. That's why marketing hurting officer is good at it, because marketing is basically one way blasting information, right? So hurting officer got advantage in marketing related activity because of their natural ability to blast information on one direction. Cool. So if your activity required information to be blasted in one directional purpose, get a hurting officer to do it. Right? It doesn't mean hurting officer win in everything, but in that situation, hurting officer win. Right? So if you get a resource star to go and do it, die. Die. The resource star will end up asking too many questions. Okay? Right. So if you get a Wellstar to go and do, the fellow will just be busy closing deal. They don't care about what is required, right? So yeah. So if you go for the Influencestar, it's more like this type of person will not buy one. I don't want to talk to this particular person. This type of person will buy one. Talk to this particular person. Like that, that's called judgmental, right? So this one more specifically is actually this fella doesn't look like rich, doesn't look like God. Okay, woman get Wellstar depressed one. Woman got Wellstar depressed one. Yeah, man, woman got Wellstar depressed one. Okay, I mean no Wellstar. Oh, I mean no Wellstar. Everybody know Wellstar also a bit depressed lah. Right. So again, Wellstar actually measured your ability to execute. Your execution ability is measured by a Wellstar. So if you are lacking in execution, a lot of things don't happen. But unless you are very strong in manipulating other people to get things done. Okay, if not, you're in big trouble, right? The vegetable is not gonna plant itself. The fish is not gonna jump onto the shore, slaughter itself, and go to the barbecue pit. Okay, understand? Right, so come, that's it, right? So now as we go, as we go further, right? So I'll give you more of this particular topic, whereby it covers a lot of this 10 God, right? So this help you understand 10 God faster, right? It doesn't drive you to the direction of, earn money must be Wellstar. No. Earn money, you must be able to deliver the product that the other person needs. Okay? Understand? Cool. All right, that's it. See you guys.